people I'm going to introduce this evening are the people who are kind of behind the scenes at the district office. So we work really closely with the school sites, but you may or may not see us at the school site or meet us in any meetings for your child. So first of all, Kim Abbott is an administrative secretary. She's a veteran in the special education department. She has had two children go through the Redwood City School District school system, and now she has a grandchild in that system. Kim is a tremendous resource because she knows so much about the history of the district, and she has many, many roles and responsibilities. But the main one, in terms of maybe our conversation this evening, is the IEPs and storing the IEPs, filing the IEPs, and getting copies of paperwork that you may need for whatever reason. Kim works very closely with the people at the sites to make sure that everything's compliant. So when you get your child's IEP, it's usually the electronic copy. We also always make a paper copy, and we keep a file that is your child's permanent record. So Kim does a tremendous amount of work in that area. Carla Valdivia is a bilingual administrative secretary. If you visit us at the district office, Carla is the person who you probably meet first. Carla does a lot of the face-to-face collaboration with parents if you come in around a question. Carla is a parent of a child in the school district as well, so she's very strongly connected to Redwood City School District community. And Carla also has lots of different duties and tasks, but one of her main ones that you may be in contact with her about is transportation. So Carla works very closely with our transportation services and also the extended school year program. Some students participate in services over the summer, and Carla is somebody who does a lot of the organization and planning for that. The third person I'm going to introduce tonight is Veronica Ramirez. Some of you who've been around for a while may know Veronica. She used to work in Carla's position, working very closely with families. Now Veronica coordinates a lot of our contracts, a lot of our staffing needs. She works very closely with human resources. Veronica has a grandchild in the Redwood City School District right now, and she's also bilingual. And then here I am. This photo is a little old, I should say, at this stage. When I look at myself in the Zoom meeting link, I can see I'm aging. Um, so my name again is Maeve Mulholland, Dr. Maeve Mulholland. This is my fourth year in Redwood City School District. Prior to Redwood City, I was a director of a smaller school district in Sonoma County. And prior to that, I was a supervisor in San Francisco Unified School District. So I have some experience in a very small district and in a very large district. One of the great strengths of Redwood City is that it's big enough so that we have lots of services to provide and lots of options, but it's small enough so we can really know each other as a community. And I'm really grateful to have the opportunity to work here and to work with the SEPTAR team. I'm a teacher by background, so I used to be a special education teacher. I also used to provide in-home ABA services before I moved into administration for special education. My areas of specialization, I feel, used to be autism, maybe not as much now. Now it's kind of maybe shifted a little bit more towards emotional disabilities. But I have been doing this work for um, at least 25 years. So I have some good experience to bring to the table. However, I would say I'm always learning, and I really appreciate partnering with families and learning what you want to say about your child, as you usually know your child best. If you detect a little accent, I'm originally from Ireland. In this photo, I have my St. Patrick's Day outfit on, but I've been in this country for about 30 years. The time goes by very, very quickly, as we know. So let's go ahead and meet some of the other members of the team. So I want to introduce the newest program coordinator. And let me explain a little bit first about the role of coordinator. So I'm at the district office supporting all of the schools. We have 12 schools in Redwood City. But really, the key connector, the key person who's coordinating information from the district office to the school site and really to the staff who are serving your child are the program coordinators. And we have three program coordinators. The first one, like I said, is the newest member of our team, Samantha Ellis. And Samantha is here this evening if you want to unmute and share a little bit about your background. These are the sites also that Samantha supports. Yeah, is Samantha here?
Yes, hello. Good evening, everybody. Hi, my name is Samantha Ellis. So I am a school psychologist by training, and have worked in the field of special education since about 2015. My experience ranges from being a kindergarten teacher, to providing psychological services. Currently, like Miss Mulholland has introduced me as, I currently serve as special education program manager for Redwood City School District, where I lead and coordinate special education services across Hoover, Adelante Selby, Garfield, and Henry Ford. I have been with the district now for the past 2 years, but this is, like Miss Mulholland has introduced, I am new to the role this year. Thank
Thanks
you.
so much. Thanks, Samantha. And Samantha is an excellent resource on our team. We had a psychologist on our team several years ago, but haven't had for the last couple of years, and it's really awesome to have that perspective back at the district office. Samantha is somebody who you may see more at the sites and who you may see at IEP meetings. And if your child goes to one of these schools and you have questions, Samantha is always somebody that you could reach out to. Our next program coordinator is Bernadette Garcia. And Bernadette, do you want to unmute and introduce yourself? I know Bernadette's also a parent.
Good evening, everyone. I'm glad to be here. My name is Bernadette Garcia, and I'm the program coordinator for Redwood City School District. I coordinate mostly on these sites, Clifford, Orion, Roy Cloud, and Taft. This is my 8th year in the district. I started at Redwood City as a preschool special education teacher, and then I moved to RSP position before going to a coordinator job. And prior to this, I was at Maryland, one of the public school districts in Maryland, and I was there for about 12 years. Also as a special ed teacher for preschool and then inclusion specialist. I also have a background in coaching and mentoring teachers. Yeah, I have a daughter now at Kennedy, and then I also have a grandson that's he's gonna be in preschool. He has autism. So yeah.
Thanks so much, Bernadette. Thanks so much for sharing and sharing about your child and grandchild. So Bernie, if or parents, if you go to one of these schools, you may see Bernadette around there or meet her at a meeting. Our third program coordinator, and I should say actually, and probably parents, you have this experience a lot as you interact with service providers. There's an awful lot of different names that we use. So sometimes we say program coordinator, which is the actual title. Sometimes we say specialist. They're just, it all means the same thing. It's the person who's connecting the district office and supporting the school site. I have the wrong name on this slide. Hold on, I'm going to stop sharing and correct that error right now. So, as sincerest apologies, I think I probably made a slide and then copied it. Meta, do you want to unmute and introduce yourself while I correct that error?
No, for sure. Hi guys, thanks so much for having me again. It's exciting to join you and see a lot of familiar faces from last year. For those of you who aren't familiar or haven't met me yet, my name is Maiden Newhouse. I'm one of the program coordinators for special education here at the district. I oversee the remaining 4 sites. So my sites are Roosevelt, Kennedy, MIT, and North Star. So if you guys, I see a lot of Roosevelt parents here. Hi. And then my background is also as a special education teacher. I even started before that as a paraeducator in an SLC classroom. Then I was a special education teacher at middle school and high school SLCs for a little under 10 years. Then I moved into administration at private schools in San Francisco. And then I learned that I definitely love public education and serving our student population much more. And I am really excited to have gotten to return to public ed and become program coordinator here for Redwood City. And I'm going into my 3rd year now.
Thanks so much. I really appreciate it. Apologies again about the incorrect name. So this is a reminder to myself to have someone else proofread, right, before I go into a presentation. So a little bit of information about who to contact. These are just kind of common questions sometimes parents have. So I have a concern about my child, and it really could be any concern. It could be related to special education or just another thing that maybe your child's coming home and you're not sure if they ate their lunch. Or maybe your child comes home and they seem sad someday and you're not sure what's happening. So definitely your classroom teacher is a great person to talk to, and your school principal. If you talk to your teacher or for some reason there's challenges with talking to the teacher, you can always check with the school principal. If you would like your child to be assessed, so students receiving services are eligible based on assessment results, you can check with your school principal to let them know. We really advise that any requests like that be in writing. Just a simple sentence, I'd like my child to be assessed for special education services. You can give your child's name and date of birth, and then sign that request and date that request yourself. If you'd like an IEP meeting, so a lot of the time, communication is pretty informal. I might be talking on the phone or picking up my child, or different platforms that are used for communication between home and school. But if you want a more official meeting, you can request that from the case manager, who is usually the special education teacher or the speech language pathologist. You really can ask anyone at the school site, but typically these are the case managers who organize the IEP meeting. When we get a request for an IEP meeting, we have 30-day timeline, 30 days to plan it and meet, but we would usually try and meet much sooner than that, right? Because we want to partner with you and collaborate and hear what you have to say. Some of the services that are available in the district, specialized academic instruction is what we call instruction from the resource teacher or the specialized learning center teacher. So as compared to a general education teacher, the person providing specialized academic instruction has a special education credential. Some therapy, speech therapy, occupational therapy, physical therapy, adaptive physical education, functional vision services, deaf and hard of hearing services, nursing services, transportation services, counseling services. So this is not an exhaustive list. There may be some other services that are provided that are not on this list. Generally, to be eligible for services, I have an assessment in that area to identify the eligibility or the need. So then the team can meet to write goals, and the service provider would provide the services. Sometimes students exit services. They've met their goals, whatever was really impeding their ability to access instruction and make progress has improved. And so I may see a fading of services, a reduction or maybe a discontinuation of some services. And then we also talk about the location of services. This is another area where we use a lot of acronyms. We're using letters to kind of indicate where we're talking about. Most students who have special education services are in general education and they're pulled out for resource services. So they go to the Resource Learning Center, or for speech services. So they might go to a small classroom or a therapy room with the speech language pathologist. Some students are in separate classrooms, and these classrooms may have different names in different school districts. The most common name for these classrooms is special day class. A couple of years ago, we changed the name of our programs to Specialized Learning Center. This is a classroom that generally has, and it really depends on the grade level, but about 12 to 14 students and a teacher, and maybe up to 3 paraeducators supporting the core team. Sometimes there are more. The Extensive Supports Learning Center generally has fewer students, so maybe 8 to 10 students, a teacher, and may have more adults than the core team of 3 paraeducators. There may be at least 4 paraeducators in that classroom. We also have pre-K learning centers. So Bernadette, when she was sharing, was saying that she had been a pre-K teacher. We begin seeing our youngest learners when they turn 3. And we partnership with the child development centers in providing services to those early learners. And we provide those services generally until they're TK age or kinder age. And then where are these service centers in terms of the schools around the district? So resource learning centers are at every school site. This is a very common service where a child is pulled out for a portion of the day or the teacher pushes in for a portion of the day to support learning. Specialized learning centers are at some, but not all of our school sites. We do sometimes try and centralize learning centers so that a child in a learning center doesn't have to move site as they move up through the grades. So for example, if I'm in second grade and I'm moving to third grade, I'm hoping that I can move to a learning center at the same school rather than having to travel. And then the extensive supports learning centers are located at Garfield, Hoover, Roosevelt, and Kennedy. Just a specific slight difference in the program at Hoover has a specialization in students who are identified as having some kind of higher medical need. Sometimes we use the term medically fragile. The pre-K learning centers are at Adelante Selby, Garfield, and Roosevelt. We did have a program last year, the last several years at Taft, and that closed this year based on numbers, but we do anticipate we will be opening another pre-K learning center at some time in the future. Okay, so that was a very broad overview. Nothing that I'm sharing is specific to your child, right, who has a very individual journey, but we just want to give you that broad picture to kind of help build some bridges between the district office and your experience as a parent. Probably, if you're going to take anything away this evening, this would be the most important thing. If you have any questions at all about your child or your child's services, you can always contact us at the district office. The person you'll get through to is Carla. She's a bilingual person. She's a parent. She's very knowledgeable. She works very closely with us at all. So she will be able to help you or connect you with the person who can help you. So if you're going to take a photo, or a screenshot, this would definitely be a good slide to take a photo of. And I think we've come to the end of our slides for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maeve and the team. What is our plan moving forward? Do we want to open up to questions?
Yeah, we're really happy to answer questions. We didn't go into too much detail. As I said, your child's individual experience is going to be very unique and specific to their journey, but we're very happy to answer general questions or to to if you want us to call you to follow up on something that feels more individual for you, you can let us know and we can take your name and number. You can also put questions in the chat. So yeah, does anyone have any questions about what we shared this evening or about special education services?
Someone asked a question, will you be sharing the slides?
Miss Claudia. Yes, the slides, I believe I've shared them with Septar and Elena and Michelle, you typically send out a copy of everything, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And also someone asked about a Spanish interpretation, and I'm not sure if they were able to find the switch to access the interpretation.
I can say it again if you want me to.
Yes, please.
Buenas tardes. Si necesitan interpretación español y están viendo esta reunión en su computadora, tienen que seleccionar abajo de la pantalla hay un icono de globo mundial que dice interpretación. Lo seleccionan y ahí hay una ahí va a haber una opción de español y una de inglés. Si ustedes necesitan escuchar esta reunión en español, pueden seleccionar español. Y si están escuchando esta reunión en su dispositivo móvil, en su teléfono, pueden seleccionar los tres puntos abajo en la pantalla y ahí les llevará la opción que dice interpretación y seleccionen español, por favor. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Itzel. I should also say, actually, we work very closely with the district interpreter team, and I want to thank Itzel and Gonzalo for being here this evening, and for being flexible with your schedule to support our evening meetings. We really appreciate it. Katie, you have a question, and then Alejandra.
Hi, I was just wondering, with all of the changes that are happening with funding this last year, I was just wondering if you have any information on if there's been any major changes in terms of how funding is going to be utilized in special education services, or if you have anything that you're able to share with that.
Yeah, that's a great question. So what most school districts in California have experienced, really this year was the first year of some pretty significant funding cuts around the state. And it happened for a couple of reasons. One is all of the stuff that's going on at the federal level, but really a bigger reason is we got a lot of funding during COVID, and these were one-time funds, and all of that money ran out by the end of last year. So another reason sometimes is related to the number of students in a district decreasing or increasing. For Redwood City School District, there were budget cuts this year in special education. We lost our assistant director of special education. So last year we had a director and an assistant director and 3 coordinators. And we lost the assistant director. We didn't lose any services or service providers at the school sites. We've been able to maintain services and increase services in some area when it was needed. So the effect I feel on special education has been really very minimal. We have an incredibly supportive board of school board, the people who kind of run the district, and incredibly supportive superintendent, and some good advocacy, right, from the parent base. Next year, the school district and most school districts are anticipated to need to make further funding cuts. And what you'll see is notices through your school's newsletter, or maybe peach jar or texts, different ways that the district shares information. There are going to be invitations to invite the community to be part of those conversations, right? To prioritize, so that the parent voice is really heard in terms of prioritizing services for students. Of course, the IEP, your child's plan as written, has to be implemented independent of budgetary concerns. So I want in no way for you to leave this evening concerned that your child won't get the services that is in their plan. They will. It just means kind of looking at everything so we're using our time very efficiently and our resources as efficiently as we can. But thanks for that question, Katie. I see that Alejandra has her hand up, and then there's also a question in the chat. Let's, Miss Alexandra, what's on your mind?
Hi, my name is Alexandra Angel. I have a son at Adelante Selby. He's in kinder, and he has autism. So I was just wondering, in the specialized learning classrooms, is there like opportunities where they share like 50-50 time with Gen Ed, or is it strictly like SLP classroom time and Gen Ed has their own classroom time? And is there a difference in between which school offers more inclusivity with the Gen Ed classes?
That's a great question, and I think a really key topic for many parents is their child being included in general education. Sometimes some children have a blended program, and a blended program is where I might spend part of my day in a specialized learning center and part of my day in general education. And this is going to be not really specific to the site, more specific to the students. So pretty much all students in the SLC spend some part of their day in general education. It can be less time at the beginning as they're getting used to, like, say, transitioning to school. But by this time of year, everybody will have started mainstreaming in some areas. And then it's going to be individual to the child. So it could kind of, I'm trying to think of real examples from today because I was talking with somebody about this. Um, there's a child right now who may um, begin in an SLC, a sixth grader, but for the goal will be for her, she'll begin in the SLC, and then we're hoping after about a month, she'll start going to one class for a while, and then she's probably going to build up to her whole day over the course of a year. That's very specific for her. What I would say for your child, if the team is talking about what we call the continuum of services, it would be important to let them know that for you, you want your child to have significant portions of the day in general education and to be supported so that they can do that. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Great.
Yeah,
And
perfect. Thank you.
you have Miss Christina Prado at that site, the school psychologist. I don't know if you've met her yet, but she's very knowledgeable. She's been with the district for a good while. She's a really great thought partner, and will be able to unpack that with you outside of the IEP and in the IEP.
If I can add on to that, because Adelante Selby is a resource learning center, is a one-to-one aid considered a resource or a service? Would that be more so towards the specialized learning classrooms?
No, the one-to-one is considered generally a service. And again, this gets to all the different language that we use. So if you want a one-to-one, you can request an assessment. And in that area, the district would offer you an assessment plan or give you a reason why they're not going to assess. But that is a good way to start that conversation. A one-to-one is generally provided for very specific reasons, maybe related to safety or health or academics. There could be lots of reasons for that.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have a question in the chat. Oh,
Is
and
this Isis, I think, had a
yeah,
question?
Miss
Yeah.
Morazán. ¿Tiene una pregunta, señora Morazán? And you could unmute yourself so that we can hear you if you want to share that question, or type it into the chat. Bueno, señora.
Sorry, this is me. So once I don't know how to pronounce. Is this?
I think it's Isas, Miss Isas Morazán.
Isis?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay. While we're waiting for that.
Hola,
Oh,
sorry.
está bien, señora.
Soy,
¿Qué pasa?
ok, mi nombre es Isis Morazán y mira, soy mamá primeriza, o sea que estoy aprendiendo en todo este asunto de lo que es el mundo escolar. Y mi pregunta es esta, tengo un niño de 4 años que acaba de comenzar TK y él está teniendo muchos comportamientos como de agresividad. Está reaccionando como muy alterado casi a cualquier cambio que le haga a su maestra, como de pasar de una clase a otra. Si la maestra no le avisó con tiempo, él tiende como a alterarse. No, esos son como quien dice los puntos más delicados que él tiene y pues la agresividad llega a un punto donde se altera tanto que él avienta todo lo que está a su paso. He tratado de solicitar una evaluación en la escuela a la cual recibí una carta en donde me decían que la solicitud fue para pedir un 1 a 1 para que estuviera con mi hijo. Y la carta que recibí fue negándola, porque primero tenían que hacerle una evaluación. Mi pregunta es, ¿con quién tengo que dirigirme para poder obtener una evaluación para mi hijo?
Bueno, gracias, señora
Um,
Itzel.
Maybe would you like me to interpret? Perfect. Well, good evening. My name is Isis Morazan, and well, I am a first-time mom, and I am learning, all of these things that are around school, the school world. And my question is this: I have a son that is 4 years old, and he just started TK, and he's having many behaviors, aggressive behaviors, and he gets very upset whenever he gets here, and it depends on like the changes that the teacher makes. And he goes from one class to another one, so and if the teacher didn't let him know with enough time, so he tends to get upset. And well, and those are kind of like they're the sensitive issues that he has, and also the aggression. There's a point where he gets so upset that he starts throwing everything that's around him. So I've tried to request an evaluation in school, and I received a letter where it says that the request was denying it. The request was to get a one-on-one to be with my son, and I received a letter denying it because it says that he had to get an evaluation first. And my question is, who do I need to talk to so I can request an evaluation for my son?
Thank you for your message. I think that the best thing would be is if you let us know which school your child is at, one of the program coordinators can follow up with you individually tomorrow. Once we have, and you don't have to share this out loud in the chat. If you can type it in, like just type it in for me. The other thing is we actually just based on your name can probably find you in our special education system or just our general education system if you let us know the name of the school, and then we'll contact you tomorrow to follow up. I think you bring up a very important point. That's an experience for many, many parents of students with or without disabilities, the experience of having a child who is dysregulated in some way and can present with difficult behavior at school. Please know you're not alone, and we do want to partner with you to support your child to be able to be more calm and focused and feel less anxious at school so that they can be successful and learn. But first question really, which is your school, Miss Morazan?
Mi hijo va a Roosevelt.
Okay, está bien, señora. Mañana, tomorrow, that's good. Tomorrow, we'll call you to follow up on your particular concern.
Gracias.
Thank you so much for your question. Any other questions this evening?
There's actually two questions in the Q&A.
Great.
So the first one is, as a district, what systems are in place to ensure all members of a student's team are held accountable for consistently following through and collaborating effectively?
I think I could answer. I'm assuming this is specific to an IEP team. There's different teams at school. For the IEP team, it's usually the case manager who's the person who is coordinating the services. So this is very often the special education teacher. And that would be the person who's kind of keeping track and making sure that all of the services are happening. Each individual team member is responsible for their area in terms of writing the goals, marking progress on goals, and providing services to support progress on goals. I think if I, as a parent, had a concern, if I felt for some reason that the team wasn't collaborating among each other or wasn't collaborating with me, I might check in with my case manager about that, or I might check in with my principal about that. I could also request an IEP meeting specifically to discuss that. So specifically just to share maybe an experience that it didn't feel like everything was coordinated as I would want it to be coordinated.
What systems are in place to ensure that parents' contributions are accurately documented and not rewarded or minimized in the record?
So I typically, I'm guessing that this is referring to the IEP notes. So I would encourage people generally where the IEP notes are fairly neutral. It's typically a synopsis of the meeting and what was discussed at the meeting. If you get an IEP document and you feel the notes don't represent your experience of the meeting or what you wanted to say in the meeting, when you sign the IEP, you can say that you also want to add notes or whatever you want to add to that document. We typically don't change the document after the meeting. This is the permanent document, but we can amend it. So once you submit that, that becomes part of your child's permanent record. So I would encourage you to certainly do that if you read something and you feel it's not an accurate representation of the meeting that you participated in. Not sure who asked that question again. If you want to unmute and let me know if that answered your question. Oh, here's a follow-up question. If that happens, will we get an updated IEP? That hasn't been our practice because we don't resend out the IEP. It becomes part of your child's permanent record. So if you requested your child's record, that would be included. It's not part of that original IEP meeting. It's like an addition. So yeah, I think in answer, you would request a copy of that.
Sorry, it's easier to talk. So I signed, so in I have myself as an example, I had that happen and I noticed one of the health, God, I can't even think of the word, it's late, sorry. Something about his health and it had changed. After I saw it after the fact, after I didn't realize I shouldn't have signed it, the IEP.
Oh, okay. So there is a different kind of error, like say a clerical error, like maybe say if it was related to health, my child has a seizure disorder and takes this medication, or asthma and takes this medication, or something that like an inaccuracy like that, that might be considered a clerical error, where somebody took down the information inaccurately, and that would be different maybe than saying, I really disagreed with what was said. This is what I believe I said, and submitting that to become part of the record. I think if it was a clerical one, we can do an amendment very quickly to fix that. It's not substantive, meaning it's not changing the offer of services, anything particular. So probably for your specific case, if you want to email me separately, you could do that. That maybe is a different situation. Does it make sense, Claudia?
Yeah, well, I don't mind. Initially, it was sleep apnea, but it was resolved with surgery. So that's what needs to be corrected.
Okay. Yeah. And thank you for sharing the specifics, but that makes sense. If that's in that I probably sign it and say I agree with the exception of it was sleep apnea corrected with surgery, and then that's just part of your permanent record now. If it felt more important, we could definitely have an IEP meeting to unpack it a little bit more.
No, I did do that, and I did do what you stated. I don't believe that whatever item number so and so is not that it wasn't accurate. You guys did a good job about it, but it changed, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, and it's definitely we're in an imperfect system. So I should say, and I should have started this by thanking teachers and service providers for working incredibly hard, and really trying to provide excellent services to your child. But we certainly make errors, and the best way to correct those is to let us know. And then we really will try to correct anything that you point out to us.
No, and you guys do just we don't always take the time to acknowledge that your team has been very good and supportive when I've had questions or concerns. So I just kind of let that out with the big broad audience that we have.
Thank you, Claudia. I think that feels like a good note to end on. Thank you, everybody, for your time this evening. Thank you, interpreters, again. I look forward to seeing you all next month.
Thank you.